The evolution of your marketing will be the catalyst for the evolution of your business, and the evolution of your business will provide you with the freedom to focus on the evolution of your life. This is Evolved Marketing with Andre and Brian. All right, what an introduction for this first episode. Welcome, listener, to episode 1 of Evolved Marketing, the brand new podcast that we started. So I'm really excited. I'm so excited. And I'm going to introduce to you in just a moment my co-host, co-creator. I'll call him co-creator 1A because this was his terrible idea, but here we are. He talked me into it. But really quickly, before we jump in and introduce my partner here today, I want to tell a real quick story about Russell Brunson. And if you don't know, Russell Brunson is the co-creator, co-founder, what have you, of ClickFunnels. He's also a leader in this digital entrepreneurial space. He kind of coined the term funnels. Before ClickFunnels, we used them, but we didn't know what they were. We certainly didn't call them funnels. We just called them websites and lead pages and opt-in pages and all that stuff. But anyways, I heard a story from Russell Brunson, and he talked about how our bodies, when we're about to do something, whether we're excited or we're nervous, our bodies really have the same vibrations. We have the same feelings. So what he does, his little hack, is anytime he's about to do something like go on stage or talk in front of a bunch of people or pitch an idea to someone who he really needs their approval on, he always tells himself, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And what happens is you actually trick your brain into believing that you're not nervous. You're just excited. So when you see Russell Brunson on stage, and I know he did this when we were just at Funnel Hacking Live, the first time he came on stage, the first thing he said is, I'm so excited. Really, he's shit your pants nervous. But he tells himself, I'm so excited. He tricks his brain. So I did that. I think it works. There's a little hack that you can take with you anytime you have to evolve your marketing by going on camera for the first time or going live for the first time. When you feel those nerves set in, just tell yourself, I'm so excited, and your brain won't know the difference. So anyways, like I said, I'm shit your pants nervous because this is way outside my comfort zone. So that's a perfect time to introduce the son of a bitch who talked me into this terrible idea, Andre Jermachev, my partner, the idea man. Tell the listeners about you. Great to be here with you on episode 1 of this podcast.
Well, that's a great story from Russell Brunson. So what's up, guys? Like Brian said before, my name's Andre. I'm super nervous too. This is something new for the both of us. So it's crazy. I'm like super sweaty right now. I know you already know that when I did a mastermind in Orlando, remember? I was like, wow, super sweaty, super nervous. But yeah, super excited to be here. Yeah, I mean, this is great. It's something new that we're all doing. We both come from the same background, so I think that's the main reason why we connected in the first place, right? So
it's crazy. Yeah, we both come from the same background, both in the restaurant industry, both have done fairly well, relatively well, I guess we could say, compared to many folks as affiliate marketers. And that's how we actually met face to face, right? We were at that mastermind in Orlando. Funny story, Andre happens to live in Texas just like I do. And I've met him face to face twice, and both times it was in Orlando, Florida. So that seems to be the place that brings us together. I want to talk about, that, since you brought it up, that time when I met you at that mastermind in Orlando. It was the first time we met face to face, and we were both there as speakers. And one thing that really stood out to me is when you were up there giving your speech, when you were up there giving your presentation to the people who paid $4,500 to be there.
Yeah.
One thing I remember thinking is, wow, the way you told your story, your background, your what led up to your success, and some of the things that not only helped you become successful, but also triggered your desire to become successful. The way you told your story was so engaging. I was ready to pull out my credit card and just buy whatever you had for sale, even though you didn't have anything for sale at that time. So maybe, if you would indulge the listeners, Andre, just kind of tell us a little bit about your backstory and how did you decide that you had to start making money online, if that was the first thing, or become a marketer? I'd love to hear about that, and I'm sure some of the listeners would too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I'm basically from Lima, Peru. I was born there. I came to the States when I was 14 years old, chasing the American dream, right? That's what my family wanted for me. That's what my family wanted for them as well. So we just, we were in a situation where, it was hard to get a job, and do all of this. But eventually, I started working in the restaurant business, right? So I started moving up in the world, right? Became a manager for the restaurant. I met my wife. We had a beautiful daughter. We ended up getting married. And then, we were living above our means 100%, right? So we were, we had a beautiful wedding. We had a beautiful honeymoon. And it was just a lot of money that we were spending, some money that we did not have. So the bills kept stacking up, kept stacking up. So we got to the point where basically we lost everything, right? So we had to move out from my apartment. We almost lost both cars. We were able to keep them, but it was just a struggle every single month. So from there, we decided to start over. We decided to move to Texas. It was a great opportunity for the restaurant management job that I had, and we just started working here, and then everything that they promised me, because we met in California, so that's where we come from before Texas. So all the things that they promised, back then, it sounded so good, right? Next promotion and better opportunity, better working environment, and then as soon as I got here, it was the complete opposite. You know, it was, like I said, it was super tough. But the cool thing about it is that me and my wife stayed together through the whole thing, right? So she supported me and everything, even though I had nothing. I felt, honestly, as a man, I felt like a failure. And then to that point, it's just super unmotivated. It's just really hard. It was super hard on me. I don't know how everybody feels about it, but it was super hard. So then it got to the point where we were gonna have another baby. So that was super exciting. We were excited about that. And then that's when basically tragedy happened on when was it? On Thanksgiving of 2020. Then we actually had a miscarriage, and then my wife had complications. In the morning we had a miscarriage. By night, my wife was fighting for her life, basically, right? So after that point, after she had surgery and everything was good, but then I could not go to work because I needed to take care of my 6-year-old, and then, or 5-year-old at a time, 4-year-old at a time, and then my wife, right? So we were home for like 2 months after that. So then I'm thinking, right, well, how am I gonna make money, right? How am I gonna pay the bills? How am I gonna do this? And then that's when I decided to start my online business. And then from there, that's where everything shifted, right? From there, I started working super hard, and then I was able to, quit my job, in 6 months after that. So I used that pain and I turned it into something successful, I guess you can say, right? Something where, like, I didn't have a choice, to be honest, right? So I just went all in on this, and then it worked out. It was really difficult, but we are so happy now. We basically made it in a way where we have more stuff than what we had before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just an amazing story. And I think a lot of us can find parallels in your story, whether it's the exact same things that happened to you or not. For example, my wife and I have never gone through a miscarriage, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean we haven't had struggles together.
Right.
And I think sometimes, keeping with the theme of this podcast and evolving, I think that sometimes, at least in my mind, where I end up stalling out, whatever level that is, whether it's my first big win, my next tier, or whether I'm trying to scale this up to, 7 figures a year and beyond, is anytime I feel stalled, it's because I'm too comfortable, I guess I should say. And if we look inside and envision the pain of the pain we're experiencing, or if we envision the pain of not going forward, not evolving, then I think that can help be the catalyst for us to really take
Yeah,
our
definitely.
marketing or our business or our life or whatever it may be to the next level. So
Right.
it's funny how in hindsight you can look back at those things that were terrible, but I mean, you probably will admit, I mean, they probably made your relationship stronger. They were probably the
Oh yeah.
push that you needed to go all in and do the work required to become a quite
Right.
successful affiliate marketer. That's probably fair to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Like there's some days where I feel like super motivated, right, to even create content and promote my business, being like present, right, on my social media platforms. So I'm thinking about, am I being lazy? What's going on? I just feel unmotivated. But then I start thinking about, wow, I don't want to go back to the life that we used to have. You get
Mhm.
me? And then just like that, I I flip the switch, and then I'm back into motivation mode, and then grinding mode, right? And it's a great experience, honestly. But the only thing that that I can say, learning into like becoming your own boss and doing all of this, there's nobody telling you what to do, right? So you have to be developing your mind, developing yourself, listening to people, be coachable, and basically have an open mind in learning new things.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what we're doing here, right? We're
That is exactly what we're doing. This as we got together, and like I said, this was your idea, Andre, to put together this podcast. And it's funny, this podcast was something that I said I would never do. Right, this was the thing that I'll never do. I'll do YouTube, sure. I'll do Instagram or Facebook
yeah,
or TikTok. I'm marketing everywhere possible except the podcast. And so it kind of dawned on me, I've heard this many times before. If it's the thing you're avoiding, it's probably the thing that you need to do. So here we
yeah,
are
and it was funny,
jumping in, with no idea whatsoever, but taking
right?
action. What? Probably less than a week removed from Orlando, right? What,
Yeah,
about five?
I mean,
So
yeah,
we
I mean, we were having, what was it, dinner? Or I know it was the first night we were smoking some cigars outside the hotel, having a couple drinks, and then I just thought about it. No, I didn't just think about it, but it was on my mind for a little while. As soon as I brought it up, Brian was like, "No, no, it's too many doubts, right?" You were like, you were doubting yourself like so much. But I mean, it makes sense, right? But then the more we started talking about it, the more it made sense, right? So it was just like, wow, this could be something cool. People will learn from us, the stories that we share, the people that we have on the show. We can make that relate to anybody in the world, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of why I agreed to it, is because of the people that we can help through the stories that we share. I mean, I had much of the same background. I got into this whole digital marketing thing out of necessity, really. I'm not one of those people who was an entrepreneur from birth. I didn't have the lemonade stands. I didn't have the baseball card selling business or anything like that.
Yeah,
I was brought up in a blue collar family. We had everything we need, but it was, hey, you go to work and you work hard, and if you keep your head down and work hard, then, and save your money, then things will work out. But probably against my parents' wishes, I took a little bit different path, a little bit more risky path, and
yeah,
moved around a lot, and lived in different places across the country. But yeah, when for me, it was kind of the same situation. I was working in the restaurant business, and I'd been a manager and was planning on working my way up through those ranks, maybe someday opening a restaurant. But the moment I knew we were going to have our first child, that's kind of when everything changed for us. I was like, oh wow, I can't do this. I need to
yeah,
figure something else out. And so I did like everybody does in the beginning, or a lot of people do in the beginning if they're feeling lost. It's like, how do you make money online? And that's when I discovered affiliate marketing. And then since then, I really fell in love with the marketing aspect of it. You and I have both, as we were discussing, gotten ourselves to a point where it's really not about the money anymore. Yeah, in the back of
right,
our mind, we know we don't want to go back to where we were. We don't want to be in that pain that we were in when we started. But now it's more about the art of marketing. And that's really the main reason I agreed to this podcast, is because we came here with the idea of, let's put this out there. Let's just focus on the art. Let's try to help people. Let's share stories. Let's bring on amazing guests, leveraging our contacts who are doing things that are amazing, that other marketers should learn about. But really, let's do this just for the fun of it and see what happens. Let's take an evolved
exactly.
marketing approach with this, where we just put it out there and delay the gratification. Um, you know, we'll monetize when it makes sense, but not a second
Yeah,
sooner. And
yeah,
that's
we're not.
I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I think that's a cool thing and exciting about it, because we're not seeking to make this, to make money right now with this, right? Eventually, money will come. That's inevitable. It's gonna show up. But that's a cool thing about it. We have a business already. We both run successful businesses. So we don't have that pressure of, we gotta make this work, right? We're just here having fun. We're just, talking, sharing our stories. I'm excited to see who we can bring on the show. and then we'll go from there. The main goal is for everybody to just listen, right?
Right.
And hear
Hopefully
us,
find
right?
something of value, whether that's entertainment from time to time, whether that's
Yeah,
education from time to time, or whether you just need to, feel like there's people who are showing up on a regular basis that maybe it's just the sound of our voices that give you comfort, whatever your reason is. Hopefully we can
right.
we can provide what you need. So let's talk about business just for a second. I know this is the boring side. This is the boring stuff. But let's be honest. When we decided to start this podcast, in addition to helping others, growing a network, having the opportunity to meet maybe some of the people that we want to meet through inviting them onto this podcast. Another aspect of this was we realized that we have gotten our businesses to the point where running the day to day is fairly easy, very efficient, and certainly doesn't take 8 hours a day.
Not at
So,
all. Yeah.
so before we get bored and start self-sabotaging this successful businesses, we better have something to do. We better have some outlet to focus our creativity on, and that's where this podcast really, or why this podcast really came into light. So that brings me to my first question, though, Andre, for some of the listeners out there who maybe they have a business, but they're not getting the reach or the traction or the leads or the customers that they want, or maybe they're just getting started and they just have no traction. People don't get to the point you're at, Andre, where, I mean, realistically, what do you think? I mean, an hour a day would get the job done for you now?
Maybe like 2 hours a day.
Maybe two
Yeah.
hours a day, and that'll
Yeah.
that'll without sacrificing anything. I mean, 2 hours a
Without
day.
sacrificing a day. Yeah.
Yeah. All
You
right.
can just,
So
it's like it becomes like a routine.
yeah. So you get to this, you don't get to that point by accident. You don't get to that point where you're on the top of the leaderboards and 2 hours a day by accident. So if you could just look back and think about what you do on the daily or what really moves the needle, what would be a secret that you could give, something juicy or something insightful that you could give listeners that they could say, oh, I'm not doing that. Maybe that's why my marketing is not as effective as it could be. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, the main thing is a lot of people a lot of people tend to complicate a lot of things. The more they think they're learning, that I understand the learning process, right? It's really overwhelming, right? But then once you find something that works, people tend to just do extra stuff. And then when that happens, every time I add more stuff into my business, extra stuff into my business, my income has gone down, to be honest. So the biggest secret I can tell, which is not a secret, is basically keep it simple, guys. Find something that really works. Even though some people might not get those results doing the simple stuff, maybe they're not just consistent enough, right? But if you keep things simple, and stay consistent, which is the biggest thing, right? You gotta stay consistent, then those results will eventually come. Sharing from my personal story, it took me 6 months, to quit my job, my full-time job, right? In those 6 months, I only made $10,000, right? So I got to the point which is in 6 months is nothing, basically 10 grand, but I knew the potential of it. I knew what it could bring to the table, right? And then I was working literally at 1 hour to 2 hours a day because I was coming home sometimes at 2 in the morning. I will create content at 2 in the morning till like 4 in the morning, and then go to sleep, which is basically take a nap by that point, and then
Right.
wake up at 7 in the morning to drive another 40 minutes to get to my work, right? So I was doing that for 6 straight months. So literally the only time I had was 1 to 2 hours a day just to get the business going. But then it got to the point where I was just tired. I was more tired than my restaurant manager job than doing both together. So it got to the point where I just couldn't handle anymore. I was stressed and I just didn't see a future with me in the food industry, to be honest. So I decided to take a leap. So I quit my job and then I kept working on my business consistently. And my lowest month was actually when I quit my job. That was my lowest month on my business, but that didn't keep me from stopping, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just kept going through the whole thing, another month, and then by month seventh or month eighth, I made six figures.
Hmm.
So I jumped. It was a big jump from 10K in 6 months to 2 months later, boom, six figures.
Right.
And then it's all about the consistency. Like if you're not consistent, your things are gonna go up and down. You're gonna be like consistent, you're gonna get results, and then you're not consistent, you're not gonna get results. But if you stay consistent all the way through, it's just gonna keep lifting up, increasing, and that's basically what I did. Even when I wasn't making any money, the first month, second month, third month, I was making a little bit, but it wasn't so substantial where I was gonna be like, oh my god,
Hmm.
this is it. But I was making just small commissions, and you know, I did not stop. That's the main thing. Don't stop.
Right. It's amazing. Everyone always wants to know how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take? And of course, the answer is it takes as long as it takes, whether you're trying to get started or whether you're trying to get to the next level. It takes as long as it takes. But you said about 8 months of consistency, doing the work independent of the results is what provided the results for you. And that's pretty
Yep.
much the same time frame that I've seen. I've launched multiple campaigns, kind of the same way, which I'm sure we'll unpack over the next 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years of this show. We're in it for the long haul. But I find that once you're doing the right things and you're doing more of them, that's about the time frame. 8 months, 9 months, is really kind of how long it takes to start
Yeah.
seeing these results, which if you're just getting started with a business or you're just trying to scale you look 8 months down the road and think, oh my God, I'll never be able to do it. But,
Right.
my 8 month stretch happened 6 years ago now. Do you think I care how long that took now? Right. You know what I mean? Like I
Yep.
did kind of the same thing when I quit my job. Um, Things initially got worse and I started to panic, but I didn't stop. And mine was 11 months later is when I hit my first $50,000 month. So it was like, you know,
Wow.
it didn't take me that long to make a dollar, but it took me,
Right.
that much time to really figure out what was working and do
And the best thing is like
more of it.
that type of mindset that you go into things, right? For example, I started a YouTube channel, right? This is just an example. I started a YouTube channel, right? And I started it. My goal was not to make money now, but my goal was to start it now. That way, 6, 8, 7 months or 10 months from now, I can eventually make money out of YouTube. So it's just that mentality that you go into whatever you decide to do in life. What mentality do you have in the beginning? And if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the right mentality in the beginning, then it's probably not gonna work out. It's the harsh reality in things that we put ourselves into. But if you work on it a little bit every single day, every single day you work at least a little bit on your mindset, you'll be successful for 100%. You just gotta stay consistent, basically.
And I think that's why you see so many stories of people who are successful, whether it's affiliate marketing, whether it's coaches, whether it's starting agencies, really whether it's launching individual info products. It doesn't really matter. It's like once you figure out the process, it's easy to repeat it, but part of that is the belief that it's going to work. For example, this podcast is a perfect example. We don't have sponsors lined up. We don't really even know how to publish a podcast yet, to be honest with you.
Right.
But we trust the process. We know if we record this stuff, we'll get better. We'll get guests as the I don't want to say quality, but as the reach of our guests or the audience that our guests have grows, that will attract more guests. And we know that if we just trust the process, then hey, maybe 2 years down the road, this will be a 7-figure podcast. And that is, of course, the luxury of being
Right.
able to play the long-term game, but it also shows you that's kind of the way it has to be, whether you like it or not, is play the game long
Yep.
term. And
Long
eventually,
term.
I always say you don't want to be the guy or girl who's trying to get rich quick for the rest of your life,
Right.
right? Because that's what a lot of people do. They bounce from thing to thing to thing, trying to get rich quick, and guess what? It never happens. Instead of just focusing for the next 6 months or a year or however long it takes. It took me 4 years to quit my job. I probably could have been a lot more aggressive. It certainly didn't take
Mm-hmm.
me 4 years to make money, but you know I was okay with that journey. And
Yep.
and when I went to go rip the Band-Aid off, I knew that I'd probably never have to look back. And here we are today, knock on wood, still just doing the entrepreneur thing, right?
Yeah. But I mean, that's a cool thing about, also starting this podcast, right? We do almost the same thing every single day, right? So something new weekly, it's gonna be exciting, it's gonna keep us on track because just how you mentioned before, we entrepreneurs tend to self-sabotage, something doesn't go our way, we're like, oh man, that is not gonna work. And I've done that before, I self-sabotage before, myself. Before I started affiliate marketing, I had a drop shipping business too. I started making a lot of money, and as soon as I got like a complaint or something, I was like, "Yep, this is not gonna work." Like I completely stopped. Like I got a refund. I think that's what it was. And I was like, "Yep, that's it." And then I literally closed all my accounts the next day, and then I shut down my website. And people were like, "Why am I getting a 404 error?" I'm like, "No." I was like, "I'm done with this." So I literally just self-sabotaged that whole business, and it's just an example, but it was crazy. It was exciting starting it, but as soon as something happened, I was like, oh, I was not in the right mindset at all.
Yeah, I want to bring up this meme right here because I'm not one of those big motivational meme guys. But if there's one meme that is just the truth, it's this one right here where you see this big wolf, this big strong wolf with about 1,000 arrows in his back, standing strong, and then you see this little tiny pup with one arrow in his back, and he's just about ready to roll over and die. I mean,
Yeah.
this is you in the beginning. This is me in the beginning, right? One little thing could derail me. One little thing could send me off
Mm-hmm.
track. One little problem could make me think, oh, I just need to go back and get a restaurant job or whatever. And eventually, after you take enough arrows, the little things don't bother you anymore, right?
Exactly.
I had a guy today. One of the programs I sell, it has a monthly payment plan. Well, someone today just basically did a dispute against three different monthly payments. I don't know
Mm.
what his story is, but here's a guy I've been helping for 3 months, and he just disputed all the payments. So at the very least, now I got to go deal with these Stripe disputes. At the worst, that money's going to come back for me, and I'm going to have to pay fees on top of it. 3 years ago, that probably would have said, nope, I don't want to create my own programs anymore.
Yep.
I'm going back to the 100% affiliate model. Now I've taken enough arrows where it just is what it is. It's a numbers game. It's part of the process. It's part of the business. So
It's part
we
of the
move on.
business, yeah.
That's exactly
Especially
right.
like all the comments that we get, I get so many hate comments, like get out, why are you doing, a scammer, doing this, you're doing that. You're still living with your mom, it's just like stuff like that, right? Like it's just like before I would be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm out of here. This is it. But that's the thing, I see a lot of people actually worry about what people have to say in the comment section. I see that a lot. Every single day, people are worried about it. What do I do with this? How do I reply? And when it comes to when you're passionate about it, about something, you're doing this for a reason, for a goal. Whoever says something should not matter to you. You know, People are always gonna talk. And those are probably unhappy people that just wanna send hate to you just because you're doing something right. So just use that as motivation as well.
Yeah, it's interesting when we were at Funnel Hacking Live last week. Um, one of the speakers that was on stage said something that really resonated with me so much so I didn't even have to take the note. It's kind of in the back of my mind now. And really, when it comes down to marketing, is you really people have to believe that you believe, right? So if you're in the marketing space and you're selling any kind of improvement offer or any sort of even widget that can help people in their daily lives, or if you run an agency that can really help customers, your clients do whatever it is that you do, you will attract a lot more customers if your potential customers, your leads, your audience believes that you believe. So that goes back to what you said about dealing with haters. If your conviction is strong enough, you're doing things for the right reason, you have the right intent, then stick to your beliefs. Don't worry about what the haters have to say in the comments and just move forward, because I think this is important to talk about, because I think a lot of people, when they're thinking about their marketing, even people who have very successful businesses and they know they need to do the thing, to create the content, start the YouTube channel, post the Facebook reels, start the podcast, whatever. They know that will help their business. It will, at the very least, it will decrease the cost of customer acquisition if they're mostly running ads. But they're so concerned about the haters,
Yep.
and whether that's that hater could be a complete stranger on the internet. Which, think about how crazy that sounds. Like,
Yep.
why would we care what a complete stranger is going to say about us? Especially a complete stranger who's hiding behind a keyboard, right? They have
Yep.
they don't even have the courage to come knock on your door or call you on the
And
phone and
some of them don't
say,
even have like a profile picture.
exactly. Those are usually the ones who are out there given the hate. But also, people are concerned about hate from people they know as well. People that people are reluctant to market on Facebook because they're afraid of what people on Facebook will say about them and what their
Yeah.
friends and family are going to think. And kind of a side note, I think that's why back in when TikTok first came on the scene, so many people had so much success with TikTok, is because they felt anonymous on TikTok. So
Yeah.
they were out there putting themselves out there without hiding their feelings, their emotion, or their passion about their business. And I think that's why a lot of people really had a lot of success. But back to you, when you first started seeing success or first started putting content out there where other people could see, like, how did you approach the potential haters from inside, from your family, from your friends? Did that cross your mind? Was that something you were concerned about?
Yeah, I was really concerned about it in the beginning, 100%. For example, I didn't start posting on my Facebook till like a year after I started my business, basically, because that's where I had all my family, that's where I had everything, all my friends, everybody was there, basically. So that's the cool, how you said, that's the cool thing about TikTok, Instagram Reels, or all of that stuff, right? When you're kind of anonymous in the beginning, right? So you start building, eventually you start building a following. Eventually people start seeing you, right? I was, like I said, I was in the restaurant working, and then one day an associate came in. I was like, hey, I saw you on TikTok, and I was like, whoa, like to me it was like a shock, I was like, oh my god, they got me, right? They found me. But no, that associate was super interested in it, and then he eventually ended up buying, because I told him, this could potentially be the real thing. This could potentially be my only thing, right? My only source of income or whatever, right? And that my associate saw, well, my manager is not trying to get out, but trying to get out, right? It's
Right.
trying to start something new, and like I said, I saw the potential. He saw the potential in me, and he ended up, doing the same thing that I do, and it was like a cool feeling as well, because you don't know how much of an impact you can make on somebody else.
I love that you said that you don't know how much impact you can make on somebody else, because that's always been my little hack for creating content. It's, when people are scared to create content, even though they know they need to do it for their marketing, what's going through their mind? Chances are they're thinking, oh my gosh, what are people going to think of me? Right? They're worried. What if I mess up? What are people going to think of me? But if you reframe that and think, I'm here to help these people, then it's not about you anymore. It's about the people that you're trying to reach, that you're trying to help. And guess what? There's no more pressure then, because it's not about you. It's about the potential customer. It's about the lead. It's about the potential client, whatever it is, depending on whatever business you're trying to help them.
Yeah,
And it really relieves a lot of the pressure when you focus
it
on it like
does.
that.
No, yeah, 100%. But then going back to the haters, right? It sucked in the beginning. It was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do now? Or not what am I gonna do now, but you will try to reply to them, but then after months of doing this, it was just a waste of energy. Like, I felt like I was just wasting my energy somewhere else, where I could use that energy into something positive. So negativity will, it will suck your soul basically. So the more positive things that you can get out of something, the better it will be.
Yeah, I mean it is. You really have to protect your energy in this game, right?
Yeah, and then talking about energy, I went to Peru, right? And
Mhm.
then I bought a rock from Machu Picchu, which is one of the seven wonders of the world in Peru. But that rock, if you put it next to like a Tesla ball, have you seen those Tesla balls that has the
Mhm.
the energy?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's cool. So you can actually see like a lot of like little rays going around in the Tesla ball.
Are you
Yeah, if
serious?
if you put that rock next to it,
Uh-huh.
and then that's the only rock that has multiple energies. So that rock will basically give you it will cleanse your chakras and all of that stuff. So
Uh-huh.
it's all about energy. And I actually wear it right here. So it's right here. It's
That's
this green. It's like a green. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's like a
that's
green
so
little
cool.
rock.
Hey,
Yeah.
but you can like
Uh,
actually like physically like with your own eyes
yeah.
see the energy, the
Like the
effects
little
that it
rays. Yeah, like the little
yeah.
rays of energy. And then they had different rocks there, and then they will pull like a different type of rock, and you can only see one little ray
Uh-huh.
go to the rock. But
Okay.
when you put this rock, you will see like three of them going at it. It was crazy.
So you grew up in Peru, right? For the first 12 years of
Yeah.
your life, 14 years of your life?
First 14 years of my life, I was in
Right.
Peru.
And you mentioned Machu Picchu. Did you ever see Machu Picchu while you were living there?
Yes, I did. I
Okay.
I went I went to Machu Picchu when I was 4 years old with my
Okay.
family.
Do you remember it
Yeah,
still?
I do. I do remember it vaguely, but I do
Uh-huh.
remember a lot of it actually.
And then
Yeah.
you went back when?
I just I just went back like a month ago,
Yeah.
and I was able to take my family, my wife and my daughter. So it's oh my God, that's probably my favorite goal that I put myself, starting this business. Because I accomplished a lot, right? But this was one of my goals from the beginning, show
Yeah.
my wife, my daughter where I came from.
Yeah. And was that
And
both of their first times in Peru?
it was their first times in
So it
Peru,
was your daughter's first time in Peru and your wife.
and my
Oh
wife's,
man,
yeah.
that had to have been just amazing.
Oh, oh my God, it was that feeling, I can never take that feeling away from me. I'm always
Right.
gonna remember that feeling of going home with my family and showing them where I came from. Um, Showing them everything basically, like, everywhere we travel. I show my wife, places where I used to live, and to her, it's just like it blew her mind, because it's a third world country. It's
Mhm.
completely different than somebody that was raised here in America. So it was honestly a great feeling. It humbles you even more, going back. I never thought I was gonna go back, but the fact that I was able to do this with my girls, it was incredible.
And that's really what it is. That's what it's all about. It's they say, the money can't buy happiness, but if you got a good foundation, money can produce some amazing experiences, huh? And it's the thing, you
Oh yeah.
never thought you'd go back when you were probably working in the restaurant business, right?
Yeah, not at all. I had to worry about just asking for a day off, you
Right.
know. It's like, hey, can I request this days off? I'm gonna go on vacation. Their answer will be like, yeah, you can put it in, and then we'll see if somebody else requested it off. So it's like there's not really a priority, like, yeah, you can move things around, but that stress of asking for permission to live your life is like,
Hmm.
what's going on here? It doesn't sound right at all.
It doesn't sound right. And that's interesting that you say it like that, asking for permission, because so when we're children, right? And we want to do something, we have to ask permission of our parents. But the trade off there is assuming we have good parents, is our needs are going to be met. For example, my kids don't have to worry about where their next meal is going to come from or who's going to remember what time their taekwondo or their horse riding is. They're taken care of. As adults, it's crazy to think that we have to ask for permission, and there's nobody to take care of us, right? Like no one's going to take care of you when you're an adult. Everything is on you. So what kind of trade-off is that? That's not very fair. That seems to be one-sided, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's it's that's what that main thing, like why would I do this, right? You know, and at that point where you ask yourself that, you're already in the system. you're already stuck there. You don't know what else you're gonna do. So you're just gonna keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and before you know it, 8 years later, you're still in the same spot. You know, so
And we don't want that for anybody.
nope. We
No.
both been there. We both
Yes.
been there. We
Uh,
done it.
and so what after you finally got out of the system, right? After you got out of the rat race, if you will, thanks to affiliate marketing, was there what surprised you the most? Like, hey, I'm free. I can live the laptop lifestyle. I know what I need to do on a daily basis. Right at that point, you're feeling probably pretty good, pretty comfortable. Was there anything that surprised you, like that wasn't maybe as good as you thought, or any new challenges, or just how you view the opportunity?
Mm, as far as surprise, I don't think I was surprised about anything, to be honest. Because I had full support of my wife. I feel like
Mm.
if I didn't have that, at least, I wouldn't be here right now. 100%. So the main thing that I did when I first started my online business was I discarded all my goals, and then I grabbed my wife's goals and I made them my own. Okay, so that's literally what I did. I did not worry about my goals, what I wanted to accomplish. I worry about what were her goals in life, because she gave me all her energy, her attention, her support to me. So that was a way to pay it back. Every month I'd be like, hey babe, I'm starting this. I'm gonna pay off our debt.
Because that was one of her big goals.
That was one of her goals, right? I'm gonna pay off our debt. The wedding, the honeymoon, everything was in credit cards. We maxed out everything.
Right.
And then I was able to do it. And I would tell her, babe, this is what I'm working for. I'm gonna pay off our debt, and then eventually I accomplished that. Then next thing, my wife always wanted to have a house before she turned 30 years old, and now I was like, babe, I'm gonna buy a house. After working consistently, working for it, I just put that my only goal. Boom, I bought her a house. I bought us a house. So you have to not be selfish. I guess you can say that. You know, think about what you have created. Think about things that you love and do it for them before you do it for yourself. And I'm not saying don't work on yourself, but if they're giving you that support, that attention, then you have to work for that. And then
Do you
that
think
has been my biggest motivation for
do
sure.
you think it helped you to focus on providing for her goals versus trying to achieve your goals?
Yeah, 100%.
It's interesting because if you one of my I don't think I have his book here. Um, Jordan Peterson, he's pretty big on YouTube these days,
Mm,
and
I
you
know
I
him. Yeah.
think yeah, and his book I think he calls it the 12 rules for life, and I don't know if it's rule number 2 or number 3, but I'll paraphrase it, something along the lines of you should treat yourself like somebody you're responsible for taking care of, right? Because if our dog gets sick, what happens? And don't worry, I'm not equating my dog to your wife. That's not what I'm saying
No,
here.
no,
I'm
not
just
at all.
if your dog gets sick, what's going to happen? You'll probably take him to the vet. You'll probably make sure he takes all his medicine. But a lot of times, if we get sick ourselves, we're like, I'm too busy to go to the doctor, or the doctor's going to be too expensive. And if we do go to the doctor, we won't fill the prescription because that takes too much time. That's another added step. And if we do fill the prescription, a lot of times, we don't take it because we just slips our mind, and so we really have to treat ourselves like we're somebody we're responsible of taking care of. And it's just interesting that you said, like, you focused on your wife's goals, and it just became so much easier because she was somebody you were quote unquote taking care of. I'm sure she can handle herself.
Yeah, no, yeah.
If she's anything like my wife, she can probably take me in a fight out back behind the bar.
Yeah,
But
same here. She'll beat my ass.
yeah, exactly. But when you reframe it, it's kind of a lot easier to find the motivation to step forward. I think you hear that a lot with, I just I just wanted to buy my parents a house. You know what I mean? When you shift it to a goal you're trying to provide for somebody else, for some reason, whatever psychology is deep down in there, I guess we'll have to ask Jordan Peterson when we get him on the podcast. It's just an amazing way to reframe your thoughts to help you achieve
Yeah.
an amazing life.
And then I'm not saying that I didn't accomplish my own goals,
Hmm.
focusing on her goals on the way there, my goals were being accomplished on its own,
Yeah,
and then that's so beautiful.
it
That's
is.
just crazy.
It's a result of, right? And almost if by magic, here you are. Your goals are getting checked off.
Yeah. They're getting checked off like in autopilot
Uh,
because I'm not focusing on that, but I'm just focusing on more important things than myself.
yeah.
So I think that's powerful, And I never thought that would happen, But the more you go through experiences in life, the more something happens to you or to somebody that you love, then your mindset starts shifting in a way where you start developing yourself, right? Because you're so used to being developed, but developing yourself, that's where you have to do that every single day, you
And
know.
that's the beauty. When you're, for example, when you were working 60 hours a week in the restaurant as a manager, and I was working, the same amount of time, and, you're trying to start your side hustle from 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't afford you much time to work on yourself, does it? You're,
It's hard.
you're just focused
Yeah.
on survival at that point. And I think that was kind of, we talk about the title of this podcast, like evolved marketing. The way I think of it is, well, that's a really stupid name with a lot of really deep, great meaning. And for me, the business that I built really did afford me the opportunity, the freedom to begin working on myself, and that's maybe the money that you earn buys you the freedom to work on the evolution of yourself, which I think is what ultimately brings the happiness and fulfillment. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So let's I've got kind of one more thought that I wanted to touch upon. I know we've been on here for a little while, and I think, in our ideas, I think we wanted to keep this podcast about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. Um,
Yeah.
for everyone. And one thing I thought about is when we're getting ready to do this show, I thought about how this is so different than anything I've ever done before. When I create marketing campaigns, I start with the end in mind. What do I want to sell? Because I'm an affiliate, or what do I want to what product am I going to market? And then I start thinking about messaging, and I essentially build my funnel out backwards. And once again,
Mm.
that's something that we'll probably unpack over the next 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. But this was started the opposite way that I normally start my endeavors, my projects, my affiliate marketing campaigns, whatever it may be, where I'm starting at the beginning and I have no idea what the end is going to be like. If
Yeah.
there is an end, who knows? I don't know. But I thought it'd be fun on episode number 1 to make some predictions. All right. To take some guesses here. That way, someday we can look back at episode 1 and be like, wow, we nailed that. Or holy smokes, I can't believe how naive we are. So if we look
Right. So it's
5 years
kind of
down,
it's kind of similar to like what we did at Funnel Hacking Life. We wrote
yeah,
a letter to ourselves,
exactly. Yeah.
you
So at
know.
Funnel, go ahead, talk about that experience and then we'll make our predictions. Tell
Yeah. So
everybody what
yeah.
we did. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. So Funnel Hacking Live. At the end of the event, Russell Branson he made us write a letter to ourselves. What we I think it was 2 questions: what we wanted to accomplish. Um, what was it? What were the other questions?
Well, what do we want to accomplish, and then what are we willing to do to accomplish
Right. So those were the
those
two
goals?
questions,
Yeah.
and we were, I wrote it in the third person. Andre is going to, like that, and
Yeah. So
then
the
he made
idea
us,
is we're gonna put them in an envelope, self-address
put it
them to
in. Yep.
ourselves, and then in a
Yep.
year or so, he's gonna send them to us. And boy, that could go one of two ways, right?
Right. Yeah.
We can be like, oh
So
my
now it's like
gosh,
you
I
have
haven't
the.
done I haven't done a damn thing, or holy smokes, I actually did more than I
It takes.
thought, huh?
Yeah, it's like a little bit of pressure on yourself, right? But then that's the cool thing about it. Nobody, no, you're the one talking to yourself.
Right. You're the one holding yourself accountable. You're the one who's setting your goals.
Yep.
And All right. So yeah, that I'm now just give me another thing to panic about, worry about that. No, but I did it last year. This was your funnel hacking live. This was your first funnel hacking live. I went to funnel hacking live last year to get this award, right? That's pretty much the only
Yeah,
reason I
yeah,
went there. And I learned so much and had such a great experience. I had to go back again this year, met so many amazing people. But they had us do that last year. So right before funnel hacking live this year, I got my letter and I was like, oh, I'm scared to open this because I don't remember what I said. When you come out of those events, when you come out of those conferences, when you come off, off the tail end of listening to all those great speakers, I mean, you're fired up. You can take on the world. But it's a different story when you get back into real life. So I opened that letter very carefully. And I had about 5 things that I wanted to accomplish. 3 of them were personal development goals, and 2 of them were financial goals. I did not come close to my financial goals. I set some pretty big numbers, benchmark numbers in that moment. But that's okay. But what was really interesting to me that I didn't even realize is I hit all 3 personal development goals. So it was really cool to see that letter. So I'm excited for you to see that letter.
I know.
Maybe a year from now and see how things have gone. But yes, back to the subject at hand. I want your prediction. 5 years down the road, we got the Evolved Marketing podcast going. We're on year number 5. What is that going to be? 2027 by then? Holy shit.
Damn. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean,
What's it look like?
prediction,
What happened? Yeah, give me 1 or 2 things. What
predict,
happened?
prediction. I mean, I know we're gonna stay consistent. We're gonna put 50 episodes a year around there, probably. 5 years from that, how much is that? 250 episodes or more?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can do the math.
That sounds about right.
500 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's 250. I think you were closer the first time.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
250. And then, yeah, I mean, prediction, we're gonna be rocking. We're gonna keep doing it, right? We're gonna have some amazing guests. Eventually, I mean, we're talking 5 years from now, this might be our full time thing. Our business, we can automate our businesses. Our main source of income, we can automate it, and we can just focus on this.
Yeah.
So
I think
that'd be
there's a lot of
exciting to see.
I think there's a lot of potential in this becoming our main thing, as
Yeah,
well, with a team surrounding it. But I think I'm excited to see all the opportunity that's not even imagined right now, because I think 5 years from now we'll still be sitting here, and that's why I agreed to do this. Another reason I agreed to this, because I know if you say you want to do this for 5 years, 10 years, you'll do it for 5 or 10 years, just like I will. And I think we'll be amazed to see the connections that have
yeah,
come because of this, all the side businesses. I think that's one thing that will surprise us. Is I bet you 5 years from now, if this does become our main thing, or when it does become our main thing, I bet you we'll have 6 to 10 different side businesses, because we will have learned so much
oh
about
yeah,
marketing and building businesses from the access we get to the guests that we bring on because we started this thing, that we'll know how to build frameworks, build teams, and launch stuff, not independent of ourselves, but we'll be able to really pull a lot of leverage out of ourselves, because of
yeah,
what we learned. So I think it's going to be amazing, an amazing
yep.
journey. Right now
It's
we're what,
exciting.
once a week, right?
Once a week. Yeah,
Once a week. So yeah. So what do we say? We're doing these will be released Wednesday, every
it will
Wednesday,
be,
right?
yeah, Wednesday mornings,
Wednesday
maybe like
mornings.
8 in the morning,
All right.
around there. That
Ish.
way, that way they, yeah, 8-ish. I mean, people like driving, right? So
Yeah,
they could just
exactly.
be listening, whenever. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people commute to work. This is a
Yeah.
good opportunity to
All right.
start learning, getting your framework, your mindset in the right place.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Wednesdays at 8. Could be Central, could be Eastern. Depends. We're in Texas, so we're
Probably
partial to
Central.
we're
Probably
partial to Central
Central.
time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to leave the audience with, Andre, before we go here today?
Yeah, come back and listen again. You know, so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be doing this thing weekly basis, and yeah, our goal is for you guys to learn. Our goal is for us to learn too, because we're
Mhm.
learning each and every single day.
Yeah, we'll weave some nuggets in there, like the
Oh
"I'm so
yeah.
excited" hack, right? Oh, I'm so excited! I'm so excited! No, I'm shit my pants nervous, but who cares?
Yep. Yep.
All
And
right.
that's a good thing about it. You know, we have a learning mindset, right? We
Yeah,
always want to keep learning new things, and
yeah,
you should never stop that.
yeah. And the guests are going to be able to provide us with a lot of insight. Really looking forward to it. I guess my last thing is thank you to anyone who listened, um, and thank you, Andre, for talking me into this. I
No, yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody next Wednesday.
All right.